Let's talk about the real truth behind your net worth. To kick off this explainer, I want you to picture a guy we'll call Dave. Dave is 45 years old. He's standing in his kitchen early on a weekday morning, nursing a cup of cold coffee and just staring blankly at a terrifying financial headline on his phone. It's one of those articles telling him exactly what people his age are supposed to have in the bank. And honestly, it's enough to make anyone want to pull the covers up and go right back to bed. Here's the number he's looking at: $975,000, $800. According to reported Federal Reserve data, that is the average net worth for households headed by someone aged 45 to 54. Almost $1 million. Now, if you're a normal person juggling a mortgage, maybe a Parent Plus loan, and a retirement account you're actively afraid to look at, seeing a number like that hits like a ton of bricks. It makes you feel incredibly stressed and entirely left behind. So let me ask you directly, do you feel like a financial failure right now? Because I really want to validate that anxiety for a second. Comparing yourself to that staggering average makes you feel like you've done everything wrong. But here is the massive secret we are going to unpack today. You are not failing. Because that nearly $1 million average, it's basically a statistical lie. Look at the flaw of averages this way. If you take Jeff Bezos and put him in a closed room with 9 guys who are completely flat out broke, the mathematical average net worth of that room is suddenly over $21 billion per person. Literally, if Jeff Bezos walks into a room with a raccoon, technically speaking, that raccoon is now an average billionaire. It's ridiculous, right? But it perfectly shows exactly how ultra-wealthy outliers completely skew the metric for everyday people. This is exactly why we absolutely must look at the median, not the average. The median represents the person standing smack in the middle of the line from poorest to richest. When we look at the true middle for a 45-year-old, the number drops dramatically to a much more realistic $247,200. This is the real person. This is your neighbor. This is Dave in his kitchen. Let's map out the real financial scoreboard here. If your net worth is under $48,000, you are in the bottom 25%. If you've managed to hit $680,000, you're actually doing incredibly well. You're in the top 25%. And that top 1%? They're sitting up there at a massive $8.7 million. Seeing it laid out like this really allows you to pause and figure out exactly where Dave, and more importantly, where you mathematically stand in the real world. But wait, here's the next layer of the problem. Even if Dave hits that $247,000 median, why does he still feel like he's totally drowning when he's sitting in a grocery store parking lot trying to figure out how to pay for gas and his kid's pizza? $250,000 is serious money. So why does the financial anxiety still feel so crushing? Well, the scary truth behind that median number is all about home equity. For the typical 45-year-old, 60 to 70% of their entire net worth is locked up tight inside their house. It's an illusion of wealth because, let's be real, as nice as equity looks on a spreadsheet, you cannot pay your electric bill with drywall. It is completely inaccessible cash. If we strip away that home equity and just look at the rest, it is a harsh reality check. The median net worth completely collapses by 70%. Dave is only left with about $87,000 in actual liquid or semi-liquid assets. And that $87,000 has to magically cover his retirement, any sudden medical emergencies, and the kids' college funds. Suddenly, his daily low-level panic makes perfect sense. Now let's apply that over to retirement. This brings us to a stark reality of what financial experts call financial violence. Fidelity recommends having 6 times your annual salary saved up by age 50, which for the median household means about $700,000. But the actual median 401k balance for this age group, a tiny $60,763. The gap between expectation and reality is an absolute chasm. And to make matters worse, that $60,000 is just the middle of the pack. A terrifying 38% of households in their mid-40s have essentially zero retirement savings. Nothing. Total empty piggy banks. So if you feel like you're behind, you really need to understand that a massive chunk of your peers are standing right there with you at the starting line. We've got to validate this specific struggle too. It is not just poor planning, it's largely systemic. This specific 40 to 54 age bracket experienced a generational perfect storm. Believe it or not, they were the absolute only age bracket in America to actually lose wealth in real terms, down 7% between the years 2019 and 2023. Think about the timing for a second. Historically, this generation entirely missed the big economic windows. If you were 35 around 2012, you were probably just getting back on your feet from the brutal 2008 crash. By the time you finally scraped together enough for a down payment in 2019, home prices had already tripled. They basically tried to walk through the door of easy wealth exactly as it slammed shut in their faces. And today, Dave is getting squeezed from both sides as a classic member of the sandwich generation. He is redirecting $1,400 a month, money that absolutely should be going into his 401k to help pay for his aging mom's assisted living. At the exact same time, his 24-year-old son just moved back into his childhood bedroom to save on rent. Dave is literally carrying 3 generations financially all at once. So, what is the backup plan here? A lot of people are sleeping on the dangerous pillow of expected inheritance. We keep hearing all this buzz about the massive great wealth transfer coming down from the baby boomers, but we've got to ask the critical question, is your parents' house actually going to save you in the end? Well, to be blunt, the inheritance savior is largely a myth. Yes, there's $84 trillion transferring, but 68% of it is going straight to the top 7% of the wealthiest households. For the bottom half of Americans, the median inheritance is a mere $9,700. That's barely enough to buy a used car with a flashing check engine light. And frankly, average end-of-life nursing home care runs around $137,000, which usually eats the parents' house long before a single dime reaches the kids. Then add in the fact that Social Security, our ultimate traditional safety net, faces a massive, projected 23% benefit cut by 2035. And the irony here is incredibly bitter, because 2035 is exactly when Gen X starts hitting full retirement age. The cavalry, unfortunately, is not coming to save the day. Okay, I know. Taking in all this data and our explainers so far, it sounds completely hopeless. The math, the systemic hurdles, the sandwich squeeze. So we really have to ask, is Dave's financial future completely cooked? Is it literally game over at 45? The answer is a resounding no. He is absolutely not cooked, because time and compounding interest are the ultimate solutions. Even at 45 years old, Dave still has a 20-year window before he turns 65. The compounding machine is still very much open for business, and 20 years is more than enough time to radically change the math. The numbers actually build a tremendous case for hope. Aiming for an ideal $1.7 million retirement, that would require saving $3,000 a month, which feels impossible and just makes people quit before they even start. But a realistic safety net of $500,000 to $600,000 only requires saving about $800 to $1,000 a month starting right now. That is the difference between living with total insecurity and having a rock-solid floor beneath you, and it is entirely achievable. So here is Dave's incredibly simple 2-step Monday morning action plan. Step 1, log in and bump that 401k contribution up by just 4%. Step 2, set up an automatic transfer to an IRA for $300 a month. That's the whole shebang. It's a combined shift of about $700 a month that Dave can literally execute in his sweatpants right now while his coffee is reheating in the microwave. And what does taking that action actually result in? That simple $700 a month shift, compounding away over the next 20 years, turns into roughly $380,000. Really think about that. He completely changes his entire future trajectory, creates massive security for himself, and he does it with basically one simple conversation with HR and a few clicks online. Listen, if there is one absolutely crucial point you take away from this explainer today, it's this. If you feel behind, remember that you are not failing. The economic system got significantly tougher, the timing was genuinely terrible, and the game just got a lot harder. But victory, a secure, comfortable retirement, is absolutely, mathematically still on the table for you. I want to leave you with a final thought to consider. The finish line is approaching, and it simply won't wait. But that compounding machine, it is still churning, and it's wide open for business for your next 20 years. The numbers are clear, the path is clear. So the only question left is, what are you going to do with your window today?